I am so pleased to introduce a friend. Our guest speaker, Rebecca Burns, was a member of UUCJ from 2010 to 2012 and is now a member of Beacon Unitarian Church in New Westminster, British Columbia, Canada, where she's in her last term of nursing school. Hooray, fellow nurse. She participated in a UUSC service trip to Haiti in 2011 and was inspired to become a program leader on her next trip to Haiti in 2014. Thank you, Rebecca, for sharing a first-person account of how money for the Guest at Your Table program is applied in the world. Welcome.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It's so nice to see so many familiar faces from almost 5 years ago, and lots of new faces, too. I'm really glad to be back here at UUCJ and to have the opportunity to speak about something that's really important to me. And first, I just want to say a special thank you to Sid Ryder, my friend and the UUSC local representative, for inviting me to speak and for helping me make this trip down here. So thanks, Sid. So as Kristen said, my involvement with the UUSC has been through service learning trips to Haiti. And today I'll share some of my experiences there and give you a sense of what these programs mean to our partners in Haiti. But before I do, I just want to talk a little bit about what the UUSC does and the kind of work that they do around the world and in the United States. The Unitarian Universalist Service Committee is a human rights organization that collaborates with grassroots organizations to advance social justice in the United States and all over the world. The UUSC partners with local organizations and groups that are already serving in their communities, which is different from a top-down approach that many mainstream foreign aid organizations use. Through what they call eye-to-eye partnerships, the UUSC honors our principle of justice, equity, and compassion in human relations by listening to and supporting the community's vision as they define it. They choose to partner with local organizations that are committed to addressing big challenges and that are contributing in a meaningful way through concrete actions. The UUSC also has an experiential arm that is known as the UU College of Social Justice, and the UUCSJ offers service learning trips in the US and abroad to work from and learn from local partners. The UUSC was founded 75 years ago to help refugees escape Nazi persecution and to support post-war relief work in Europe. Today, the UUSC works anywhere that human rights are threatened by things like natural disasters, armed conflicts, genocide, forced migration, and systematic injustice. The theme for this year's Guest at Your Table, which is the annual fundraising campaign, is Defying Hate by protecting the lives and the rights of refugees, asylum seekers, and other marginalized groups in the US and around the world. Given the current political climate, this work is needed now more than ever. Overall, the UUSC's work falls into three main areas: economic justice, environmental justice, and rights at risk. And today I'll focus on the last one, rights at risk, which is their response to populations that exist on the outer margins of society and are typically excluded or overlooked by mainstream aid organizations. The UUSC's involvement in Haiti began after the catastrophic earthquake in January 2010. While the people of Port-au-Prince were the most directly affected by the earthquake, and it's understandable that most organizations focus their efforts there, the UUSC recognized that something else was going on. A number of people who had been displaced by the earthquake decided to relocate to the rural interior of the country and start up brand new there, leaving behind a city where their lives were often desperate even before the earthquake took its toll. In this area of the country, there's a large organization known as the Papai Peasant Movement. It's an organization of small-scale farmers. And as they began to notice that people were coming from other parts of the country to live in this area, they decided to do something to support them. In Haiti, these farmers refer to themselves as peasants, so that's the word that I will be using today. MPP, which is Papai Peasant Movement, they came up with the idea of creating eco-villages where new residents could live and learn to grow their food so that they could provide for their families. MPP welcomed these first-time farmers into their community, providing them with the land and the technical support that they needed to start a new life. In so doing, MPP's visionary leaders not only saw an opportunity to help these individual people in finding housing and a means of life, but also to work towards decentralizing Haiti's largest city, Port-au-Prince, which lacks the infrastructure and the basic services to support its population. MPP's big vision is to create an Haïti Grand Monde, which translates in English to a self-sufficient Haiti. And they work to achieve food sovereignty by growing food in ecologically sound and sustainable ways. The eco-villages are one way to support this vision. In partnership with MPP, the UUSC has supported the construction of 6 eco-villages, as well as a school for all of the village children to attend. My involvement began in 2011 when our group of UU young adults helped with construction of the first eco-village. And then I returned in 2014 to lead a group of 14 adults to work on the 6th and the final eco-village. The villages are made up of individual homes, a shared kitchen, a community gathering space, a composting toilet, a well or cistern, and the farmland. The villagers work together to build all of the houses and the structures, and they collectively manage the land and the livestock. They eat the food that they grow, and anything beyond what they need is sold at the market and provides a basic income for the families. During my first trip, we spoke with a man who lived in Eco Village 1 about his experience of moving from Port-au-Prince to the countryside and learning how to farm. He described it as paradise, saying that because he can grow his own food, he no longer has to worry about his family going hungry. On my second trip, I worked alongside a woman named Cassandra, who lives in Eco Village 2. We were filling small bags with soil, which would then be planted with trees, or with seeds to grow trees for the nursery. When I asked her if she was happy to live there, her whole face lit up, and she responded, "It is a blessing from God," with an enormous smile on her face. She was 5 years younger than me and had lost several family members in the earthquake, more loss than I can begin to imagine. So being a witness to her new beginning and the joy that she so freely shared with us was deeply touching. By supporting MPP, the UUSC is supporting more than just the eco-villages and the school. MPP's programs include a medical clinic, a solar panel workshop, a peanut butter and jam production facility, a rum distillery, among others. Their activist work includes resisting land grabs from foreign companies and pushing for agrarian reforms so that peasants can own their own land. They fight for basic services such as water, education, and healthcare throughout the country. MPP's activities are varied, but they all work towards building solidarity among the peasant class so that they can collectively address Haiti's big challenges. As a participant and then as a program leader, I got to experience what it's like to learn and work alongside our Haitian partners. Our work involved moving rocks to be used for housing foundations, sieving sand used to make concrete, and bagging mixtures of soil, compost, and sand to plant tree seedlings. But as we quickly realized, our greatest service was actually in bearing witness to and seeking to understand the realities and the injustices that Haitian peasants face so that we can be effective advocates and allies back home. This is precisely the goal of the UU College of Social Justice, to create transformative experiences and deep learning that participants can then bring home and translate into local action in their communities. One of the premises of the college is that an interdependent, multicultural, and pluralistic world must be experienced to be understood. That understanding starts before the trip even begins, when participants engaged in pre-trip readings and reflections about Haiti's history that are designed to help them make sense of their experience there, and to think critically about models of foreign aid. While there, we had rich conversations with the leaders and the members of MPP about the issues that they face and the role that the US government and its policies have had in shaping their realities. They taught us one of their liberation songs titled Makone Fos Nu, which means intertwine our strengths. We taught them UU songs like Building Bridges and Spirit of Life. Each evening, our UU group held reflection circles to collectively process the day's events in a spiritual setting. We often struggled to comprehend how, in the words of Susan Sontag, our privileges could be located on the same map as their suffering. While many of us went with the intention of helping in some way, we were transformed in our understanding of the difference between helping and serving as ways of being in the world. As Rachel Naomi Remen writes, when you help, you use your own strength to help someone with less strength. But we don't serve with our strength, we serve with ourselves. Service is a relationship between equals, and that is exactly the model that the UUSC follows in its relationships with its partners. To quote Lilla Watson and the Aboriginal activist group of Queensland, Australia, if you've come here to help me, you're wasting your time. But if you've come because your liberation is bound up with mine, then let us work together. These trips created the opportunity for us to meet and to learn from people with very different lived experiences than our own. But as we worked together, we were able to see how connected we actually are. And we began to realize the power that we as Americans have to amplify their voices upon our return to the US. They told us the most powerful thing we could do for them is to share their stories and our experiences there to advocate for more just American policies towards Haiti. Through the UUSC's advocacy efforts, trip participants are kept in the loop about action alerts and upcoming legislation that affects Haiti so that we can make our voices heard. Since my last trip to Haiti, Haiti has been dealt another heavy blow, this time by a devastating hurricane. With its focus on the rights of those most marginalized by mainstream aid responses, the UUSC is partnering with the Support Group for Refugees and Returnees to provide humanitarian assistance to the people that Tyler mentioned, people who've been repatriated and are stateless refugees coming from the Dominican Republic and back into Haiti. And they're living in camps at the border of the two countries. These people, many of whom are children, were deported from the Dominican Republic after the country enacted a discriminatory law that allows them to forcibly remove people of Haitian descent. With the impact of the hurricane, they became even more vulnerable. The UUSC's partner is working to improve their living conditions, providing drinking water treatment and education to prevent cholera, and support them in obtaining identity documents and a plan so that they can generate income. And through its advocacy work, the UUSC is fighting the law that left them stateless in the first place. Unfortunately, due to political instability surrounding the recent election in Haiti, the College of Social Justice is not currently running any trips there. But they have two other programs available, one in Nicaragua that focuses on fair trade, climate change, and human rights, and another on the US-Mexico border that focuses on immigration justice. Like the Haiti trips I described, these programs are grounded in UU theology, and a critical understanding of foreign policies and interventions. If you're interested, please speak with me downstairs after the service, and I'd be glad to give you more information. I want to conclude this sermon by trying to answer the question, why UUSC? What makes UUSC different from other human rights organizations, and why support them? I'm not good at sales pitches, and that's not my goal here. I just wanted to give you a sense of how the UUSC operates and what the projects they support mean to the people in Haiti as an example. But given all of the issues facing our world today, I think it's important for us to look carefully at the organizations that we support. I'm sure that each of us have an issue, an organization, a cause, or perhaps several that we care deeply about. And the world just needs just that, deeply caring people, now more than ever. I encourage you to contribute in whatever ways you can to those efforts that best align with your values and create the change that you wish to see in the world. Though there are an overwhelming number of issues facing us today, I think if we look at them as a whole, we can see that they're rooted in many of the same things. Things like inequality, poverty, oppression, greed, colonization, and all of the isms, classism, racism, sexism. And the list goes on. One of the key differences I see in the UUSC's approach is their consideration of not just the symptoms of the problem, but why it exists in the first place. They look at the conditions that create and sustain poverty, oppression, and environmental degradation, and they engage with their partners in a collective effort to fight those injustices. The College of Social Justice contributes to this by cultivating the TRIP participants' understanding of the dynamics of race, class, power, and privilege in their own lives and in the lives of the partners that we work with. The second quality that I think sets the UUSC apart from other organizations is their eye-to-eye partnership model, in which local partners define their own needs and their vision, and the UUSC works to support that. Given Haiti's long history of colonization, slavery, foreign intervention, and NGO presence, it is critically important that projects that occur there are empowering and do not create more disempowerment and dependence. The third major difference in the UUSC from other organizations is their focus on the most marginalized and vulnerable people who are often not served by mainstream human rights organizations. This includes those who are denied rights because of who they are, such as women, people of color, refugees, religious minorities, and LGBTI individuals. In Haiti, we can see this in their focus on the stateless people living on the border, as well as the people who left Port-au-Prince as a result of the earthquake and would otherwise have been excluded from aid efforts there. In the aftermath of the earthquake, UUSC supported several other partners in Port-au-Prince, including a small organization that worked with women who had been living in the internally displaced persons camps and were raped while living there. In this way, the UUSC promotes our principle of the inherent worth and dignity of every person. The main thing that I want to convey is that the UUSC's work is not charity. It is part of a global movement for justice and equity that recognizes that we are all connected. We are all in this together. And our collective existence depends on us strengthening those connections so that together we can create a more just world.